the north. Oh, they have brought down the Kings from the south on a couple of occasions, actually, in the last 5 matches here with Matthew Hayden and Brian Lara. And surprising for our Chennai Super King here to think that the Punjab Kings, the Punjabi Wundas, have got the better of CSK of late. What's going on there?
They've hurt us a bit, haven't they? That's the most disgruntled customer I am about that fact alone. But we've got a couple of scars of our own, I believe, as well on the Punjab Kings. So maybe they can just reopen those stitches that they've been put together here with so nicely over the last couple of encounters.
With salt in the wound is his way. But just think about the Punjab Kings. Brian, you've pulled off a world record chase, not just an IPL record, a world record chase. You know that this fortress has been...
Now, they must not think any differently, you know.
Straight up front.
But he did it so calm in there, but fighting words, that's what we want to see, because remember, the race to finish off and the top 4 is still well and truly on here in the IPL. Let's find out what's on the show. They are at the bottom of the table, and you really got to ask. In fact, we've got some of you asking as well using the hashtag #Arstar on threads, that when it comes to Mumbai Indians, Haydos, 5-time champions, we're talking about a legacy team here. Where did it go wrong?
In a lot of places, which is kind of rare, I think, for IPL cricket. Usually you can sort of pinpoint 1 or 2 things that you go, okay, that's not quite happening. So a bit to sort out, that's for sure, for next season with the mega auction coming up.
How much of external factors could have played into internal factors? Is there a case at all for that?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I come from the Caribbean, and we've got, you know, so many different islands, so many different politics going on, and to bring a team together, that was problematic. But in terms of the MI situation, I believe
the Giants had them on the mat, had them 4 down in the power play. Where did it go wrong for them in yesterday's matchup? Our friends at ESPN Cricket Info tell us more. The Giants are just making their surge towards the playoffs, aren't they? Listen, we've got a lot coming up on the show today, but one of the questions, Haydos, that we continuously ask, and we've been asking it for a couple of years now, is Rohit Sharma and left-arm pace. So the World Cup coming up, there's some great left-arm seamers. I mean, he's an extremely experienced player. He knows that that's going to be a matchup.
If it does swing a little bit, you get yourself in trouble, and I think that's Rohit's case as well. He's so at the ball and so determined to hit the ball that he keeps on chasing the line of the ball, and if it does a little bit, which it can inside those first few overs, he gets himself in trouble.
Indian. So from Mumbai's perspective, a couple of games to go now. What do you want to see from the players who will be representing India in the World Cup now?
Yeah, I think they've got a lot of pride, and it's a franchise that everyone looks up to. Everyone has something to say about them. So they would be looking to make amends in the latter part of the tournament to see if they can get some wins. Hardik Pandya would want to prove that, you know, whatever happened at GT, I could bring to Mumbai Indians. Maybe not this year, but I can do it next year. So I expect to see.
We're okay, but he just actually needs to really step up with the ball firstly, and then worry about his batting as time goes on. But he's got to be bowling his full quota of overs, and he hasn't been doing so.
Apart from Jadeja, none of India's premier all-rounders have been bowling. That's Pandora's box. We will not open it at the moment. And what we will do instead is take you back in time to 2010. It was this very matchup. I mean, the fandom is extraordinary. We're going to expect a brilliant reception today as well when Mahi walks out. We're going to certainly expect to see the fact that the decibel levels will be through the roof. But to be able to see that sort of reaction, that emotion from him, it was a pretty crucial matchup also for the way that the season was panning out, Haydos.
Well, I alluded to it before, didn't I? Yeah. You know, so you've got a 29 run off the last 2 overs. Comes down to
longevity, Brian, and you know, you expect the best in the world. You expect these iconic players to change, to evolve in a manner. He's come back to just being the finisher that we've all relied on him for so many years. He walks out there, he's only looking to hit it out of the park. His strike rate is extraordinary. He still remains unbeaten. He is still doing it at this day and age. And will we get at least 3 overs from MS Dhoni? Come on, today, at least 3.
You know, it's just unbelievable. I know he's playing there. He's sort of like the credit to him, tremendous. Getting him early, I think he has a plan. I think there's a conversation inside about what needs to happen for CSK to win this IPL, and it does not necessarily mean that I have to face 5 and 6 overs. You guys got to pitch up, and he's just hanging in there. He's very, very patient, and he's coming to do the job at the back end. Hasn't been dismissed. But oh boy, I think it might come at that moment where that critical moment we'll actually see him walk out in the 16th over. You never know.
Could be the finals.
You guys, you're already writing that script. The fans watching is just like, let it be, let it be. But what he's also done is passed on that baton to Ruturaj Gaikwad, coming off an unbeaten 100 and then a 98 in his last. And for you, an opportunity for our fans to get close to CSK's new skipper, because here on Star Sports, Star Nahifar. Gaikwad, he's been leading from the front. He's changed his game to spin as well. But was it enough to earn him a World Cup berth? It wasn't. We discussed that with Ravi Shastri, who knows what it takes to put together teams for a World Cup, to have them play in a World Cup. Understandably would be disappointed. Was there anything in particular that could have gone against Ruturaj, or just too many contenders for that slot?
I think too many contenders, and you had to see what the balance was, Mayanti. You needed a left-hander there.
A lot of left and right hand, a lot of youth, a lot of experience.
Yes.
The balance of the squad, is it enough to get a trophy, Ravi?
It is. And when you look at this side, it's tough for the selectors. But I think they've done Rinku Singh might have come in and one spinner less. I would have taken that fourth spinner with me, to New York City. The number of sixes he's hit, and he'll be a handful. Come at number 5 in the batting lineup. Especially if the spinners are on, he can turn a game just with 4 or 5 hits.
It would be exciting to see as we look ahead, as we continue now, because of course a lot of these contenders now know they are going to be able to catch a plane to the US and the West Indies. But in an all-rounder capacity, are we going to get to see Shivam Dube bowling? It's one of the concerns that Captain Rohit Sharma has brought up about Indian all-rounders. Doesn't bowl for CSK, hasn't been utilised yet. Would that be a concern for you if he's called upon?
It'll be kind of a concern, but yet not a concern, because there's no impact.
Shastri has said it, you jolly well bowl if the call comes upon you, don't you? And the call has come for a lot of them, like Sanju Samson, from Shivam Dube, for Arshdeep Singh, who now know that they will get a chance to represent India in the World Cup.
Through the offside, so it's just so hard to bowl to, because as Ravi Shastri alluded to, he's a real superweight. He's in the heavyweight title. And those long arms, long levers mean that pretty much everything's reachable.
And it makes it intimidating, and it's working so far for CSK in that finisher role. They've got when he walks out, what he does, it's all his script. Mahi is just playing along, and we are living and breathing every single moment here on Amul Cricket Live with Matthew Hayden and Brian Lara. And actually, that's the fun part of it, because he just gets really upset when something doesn't go CSK's way, understandably. He takes it personally, emotionally. He's at the million by heart, So the fact that these Punjabi mundas have kind of got the better of you guys, does it hurt you, Haydos? Can you make sense with it?
Well, it does hurt, and it hurts the Chennai Super Kings fans as well, because what they're used to doing is turning up and seeing their yellow boys just go out and clean opposition sides up for fun. That's kind of been the benchmark of why they've been such a successful franchise. The fortress of Chappak Stadium is something that's eluded a lot of people. So to come here with that kind of sense from a Punjab perspective that, hey, we can win here, it makes for a juicy competition.
It really is. It's between the kings. Now, one king, is he fit to return? That is Shikhar Dhawan. I mean, we're going to try keep an eye on there to see if he is fit to return. If Shikhar is fit, where is he slotting? I mean, I know at the top, but with the way that everyone's strike rate is plus 140 now, his is about 120s.
I know it's a tough thing, but the team is doing well, and it seems like they found the solution. But when you have a guy like Shikhar Dhawan and what he's done for the franchise, I think you've got to give him the opportunity. You've got to believe, and I think he'll be sitting down on the sidelines for the last few games with his injury and thinking, okay, when I get back in, I will have to be performing at this level, because that's what's happening. So you've got to rely and have loyalty to his experience and what he has done to his past. And Shikhar Dhawan is an out-and-out opening batter. Yeah. That's it. I don't think you can see him at 3 or 4 anywhere. If he's playing, he's got to face that new ball.
Punjab Kings, the world record chasers. Chennai Super Kings have scored 200 plus 35 times. Our parlay predictions, are we getting a 200 plus total today, Haydos?
Did the pitch report, and I feel like it's a very good wicket. It's got red more dew than the top of my head when I get out there, because it's so hot and so sweaty. And when that wind dies off, which it's sort of blowing at the moment, but as soon as it dies off, bang, dew sets in, and that was about 7:30 the other night.
I reckon for the duo, the two of you got the best hairstyle going. With the way humidity in Chennai, that's the way to go. Let's have a look at what's trending on Amul Cricket Live. World Cup squads being announced, some of those players in action today. Of course, the biggest talking point from the Indian perspective is no Jake Fraser-McGurk because he's just set the IPL alight. That non-selection, how does it make sense to you, Hiros?
It's a tough one because I just feel Australia, maybe for the first time, to play Jake Fraser-McGurk, or at least pick him in the squad. In case, for example, like a Maxwell, got injured, or a David Warner got injured, you've got an immediate like-for-like kind of replacement in terms of just escalating that tempo under pressure.
Well, it certainly is an exciting talent to look forward to in the future. What about looking forward to who could finish in that final four, and particularly a huge phase actually for Ruturaj Gaikwad. You're taking over the captaincy here also what is a legacy team. First 4 games, strike rate under 20. Something's changed after that. It's comes a charge battle because this season left arm pace is accounted for his wicket on 4 occasions. Therein lies Arshdeep Singh. India's World Cup squad, it could make a difference. And what about selections? Selections for you if you take part in an incredible Premier League quiz. Here's the question of the day for you. The player has the most number of ICC T20 World Cup. You with all your answers. On that note, we'll take a breather. We'll get you the conditions in our pitch report, and of course, building up to the toss. Someone who was the X factor, or rather having those game-changing breakthrough seasons, he's now well and truly living into that role. Our Grow experts' opinion about the influence of the Dhoniism of Dubey, because you spent so much time in the dressing room with MS Dhoni. You've seen how he talks.
Over 150 against the quicks, so he's got the full package, which means that's why he's got that visa already stamped and tickets, and he's ready to go to the US and your country for the World Cup.
And when he's been dismissed to left-arm pace 4 times, Rabada has got him 3 times, so that's a potential threat from Punjab Kings. But when you talk about Shivam Dube, he knows that spin has just been taken off when he's come on. He's going to face pace. What are the adjustments that he's made?
I think he's made quite a lot of adjustments. The most important thing, it was by trial. It's a couple of years of being attacked and attacked with the short balls, with the fast bowling. And what you're seeing, someone who is now truly tried and tested and has passed that test. So I'm not too worried about whoever he comes up against. So, all these stats have some age on them. This is a fresh Shivam Dube. He understands.
Shivam Dube. Let's get our Dream 11 pitch report from Matthew Hayden, because you gave us a hint earlier on that you're expecting some runs today, and of course the dew plays a factor here.
That was a bold Harvey, and for the spinners tonight, there's not going to be a lot of turn because this week it's really held together. So there may be a bit of bounce, and for sure, and we saw this in the last match here as well, there was a little bit of swing and a tiny bit of seam. So the first 3 openers, Jinx and Co, might need to make some adjustments, but otherwise I see it to be a very good wicket. There's going to be dew, and that's going to make it really tricky as well for the bowlers, both spin and pace in the second innings.
Hey, Ross, that was such a beautiful piece of analysis. The fans here have no interest in the first 3 overs. They only want to see the last 3 overs because they want to see that man on the screen walk out. If not even the last 3 overs. They only want to see MSD walk out and do what he does best. Give hopes and dreams to all of our ambitions that we have. Fulfill all those wishes for us in what is Chennai's last 2 games at home here. Comment there saying that my team is always prepared to bat first with my record of losses, so they're kind of ready for it. They have their game plan A, B and C set up for them.
Yeah, most definitely, but you can tell that he wanted to win the toss. He wants to also have the opportunity to bowl first and chase. But what is Punjab Kings? Where are they coming? Where are they getting their confidence from? Their confidence is coming from the fact they've had a record chase, and they have it where they want it. Now it's for CSK to go out there as a batting unit and put a score on the total that could be unassailable on a different track. So it's an interesting match, but if CSK could keep getting over these hurdles of losing toss, batting first, and then demolishing the opposition in the second half, then their confidence could only grow.
You heard Punjab's captain there, Sam Curran, alluding to playing bold, so no changes from their lineup. No Patirana and Tushar Deshpande for Chennai Super Kings. So Shardul Thakur comes back into the mix. Richard Gleeson will be making his debut. Considering you have to defend a total, how does that work out for Chennai?
Or would you like Patiranga? 100%, because he's really magic at the death. In fact, he's actually done really beautifully through the centre as well. So Ducko, he'll be that individual that Punjab will most definitely target. And Gleeson, I don't know a lot about, so he's unproven in this competition. So it's definitely a loss. It also does say to me that they understand that it's not going to turn a lot. So, the role of the spinner will be diminished to really stump-to-stump bowling of Jadoo. And that's really how I make up the side. It looks good, but it would be stronger if it had Pataranda for sure.
And Shardul has also handled those responsibilities as the back end if need be. But everyone will be focusing on number 7, 3 away from hitting what would be 256s in the IPL. Can he do that on his home ground here where he hasn't done it just yet this season? We're expecting a battle of sixes. Okay, Brian, so bear with me here, okay? 65 sixes in the 20th over MS Dhoni. He hits the 3 that takes him to 256s in the IPL. That takes him to 68. And make sure that it's the 36th time that CSK cross over 200. Surely.
On TV, they actually tune in whenever CSK is playing just to see this man as well.
What's actually really incredible about MS, and that's right from the start of the IPL, is he came with this real uniqueness of being able to play those final 5. You put Brian Lara and myself in a situation and we really struggled. The more conventional cricketers, he had that big helicopter swing, that was what he was famous for many years. But it's the strength and his ability to be able to read the play, which I think puts him in front of most power hitters. Striking away at 150, which is not necessarily his start-up plan. Then it paid off and he got promoted. And now I reckon he's trying too hard.
Yeah, I think
which
so.
we all do, right?
Yeah.
Like, just because you want to be a part of this great franchise, this winning team, and the moment that you sort of start shifting gears mentally into, now I've got to do it, is the moment you start losing that freedom that Brian is talking about. So tonight for Ajit Rahane, I think it's really important that he just plays him. He does him. He'll get to the 5th and 6th over and he'll find a new leg. I think at the moment the way this is, and Chennai have done it so well, hence why they've won a lot of premierships, is they're great at assessing the conditions. Smart cricketers win games of cricket here, not always the boom, crash, opera type players.
Punjab Kings have won here before and they've got the toss going their way so far. Who will be those bowlers that will put essentially a little bit of CSK?
Anything, we know how he can deliver under pressure. Goodness, we'll never forget in Australia how he captained without Virat Kohli and pretty much the entire team in Australia in the Brisbane Test match. So we know that he's up for the contest. Like to see a lot more out of Jadeja as well, especially for the World Cup. Mitch has now come back in fantastic form. So look, there's lots of things that are going really well for Chennai Super Kings, but they're facing a world-class attack here. This is probably, if not the best attack in this tournament. So that'll be a challenge in these conditions, which will bounce, and we saw the other day just start to nip and move around a bit as well.
In fact, I'd love to know the Sahi game plan, because as we mentioned, Punjab Kings do have the best at the back end. They've been the most impressive bowling towards the death. So when the likes of someone like Shivan Dubey does come onto the party here to
that little uppercut, but keep the pace off the ball and see if he wants to drag it to the leg side because that's his strength. And work with it from there. But I think he's a good all-round player now. I think he's gone past all those tests.
Big side of the ground is worth noting for our viewers at home. We've got one side of the ground that's a little over 70 metres. So with Shivam Dubey, you've got to shut down that area. And that's what Brian was talking about. If you go wide to Shivam Dubey, you've got to go really wide because he's got those huge levers that come into play. Make sure that he can't have anything to hit under. It's got to be wide and full, so it's basically thunderbolts, right on that sort of blue zone so he can't get under it, because as we saw from his impact zones there, anything inside his zone just goes big.
Just briefly, as we look to wrap up, so 48 boundaries for Ruturaj Gaikwad and he's run doubles 30 times. That's how he's scoring his runs.
He continued, should have gotten 100, put his team in a great position batting first, and they won comfortably.
How do you shut down Ruturaj Gaikwad with 2 fielders out? 2 fielders out and a licence to hit the ball. It's really tough for these bowlers because if he gets one side, he'll
Getter in the tournament. He's got the orange cap on his head here. Amul Cricket Live with Matthew Hayden and Brian Lara. But before we get into how brilliant the spinners were, how brilliant Rutu was, of course, MS MS Dhoni, for the first time, has been run out this season, but he's also... And you heard Rahul Chahar saying that maybe 8 or 10 runs more than they wanted to give away. So while wickets were falling around him, Ruturaj Gaikwad held firm and just played the conditions on the merit of the way things were going.
Yeah.
Half century that he's followed up with 100 and a 98. And you just talk about the spinners, Harpreet Bihar, Rahul Chahar, 33 dots between them, 4 wickets shared between them. That was a crucial spin. The degree of spin that we saw at the Chepauk today as well.
Yeah, well, at the pitch report, we had an analysis on the spin conditions here. And look, let's face it, Chennai is a place which does turn. But in the last season of the IPL, there was 45 wickets up until now. There was 9.
Quiz, the question for you today, if you want to be part of this incredible Premier League school quiz. Okay, Johnny Bairstow has a role to play because he is definitely the man informed to chase this down. He's improved his numbers against left-arm orthodox, but then Ravindra Jadeja as well will have a huge role to play.
Yeah, both men have futures to play for their respective teams. Bairstow's got to get out and dominate.
Also been talking about here on Amul Cricket Live with Matthew Hayden, the fact that Chennai Super Kings, the Northern Kings, have invaded the South yet again. It's now a streak of 5 consecutive wins against Chennai Super Kings, equaling what your other favourite team, Mumbai Indians, have.
Tonight, I think it was a really important toss, so right from the get-go, and you can't always put, your money on the toss, but this is a venue notoriously which that dew does play a role, and when you get a subpar score, I think they were probably 30, maybe even 40 runs short if they were being really hard on themselves tonight, the men in yellow, then maybe they were a chance. They have to look at the way that they go about constructing their innings at the moment. That power play was very conservative, and in through that middle to have it so dominated by spin, 3 for 47, on what otherwise was a very good wicket, a red soil surface, but a wicket which I think, when you look at the run chase there, that was an absolute canter. There was zero. It was just easy as you like.
Ruturaj Gaikwad actually said 60 runs short in the post-match. Have a look at this in terms of win
trouble, but that was largely because of the fact that they took pace off the ball, didn't really hurry it through as typically they do in Tata IPL.
What a game-changing that over was from Harpreet Bihar as well, who's a pretty handy singer as well. If you haven't heard him lift out those tunes, then you need to be doing that right now. Yes, Heros? Right. I'll get you that. Let's have a look at the presentation.
To the Punjab Kings as well. So a very inspired piece of captains. See, that confidence that he's talking about now is such a key to captaincy as well. And when you can go to a player like Chahar and go, buddy, you up for it? And he goes, yeah, then it's always a good sign.
And the way things are falling into place for Sam Curran, just have a look at this in terms of the probability of the win. He's
run chase, if you can get into overdrive quickly, get up into that 5th gear, 6th gear, you can start to really remove the pressure from yourself. You might only need maybe 4 or 5 good quality overs up top, and that's exactly what they did. And Chennai started chasing the game and couldn't reel it back. Dew started to settle, which was compounding amongst the partnerships that were also starting to take flight. So it was, in all essence, it was the perfect victory for the Punjab Kings tonight. As I said, they were inside the Kings' fortress, and they're starting to really pilfer and build that reputation here at Chepauk Stadium as being a quality side that's winning.
When you speak about switching gears, Johnny Bairstow is hitting the right gears in the tournament at the right time for them. Just fell short of a half century, but got an impactful 40. But our Asian Paints super saves is not so much so about Bairstow, but the fact that after now being in
quite the option, inside when you've got this, wet conditions, and I guess in many ways it also points to Hardik Pandya and his, important role as not only a batsman but as a, genuine bowler that can bowl, 4 overs in T20 cricket. So selectors will have that in mind. I think it's also very good for Shivam to bowl, which he hasn't done a lot of it all for Chennai Super Kings. So if they do get an opportunity, and they won't be thinking about, winning World Cups, they'll be thinking about winning their 6th title. So they may.
But the fortress in Chepauk, it has been breached twice now, but they're still in the top for the Chennai Super Kings. But the fans, in a sense, got what they wanted. MS Dhoni, yes, for the first time dismissed this season, but they got a maximum. And that's all they'd been waiting for at the Chepauk. We'll be back after this breather. that one gear that they seem to be having? Plan B, C, D. Where's plan B, C, and D so far?
Yeah, plan B and A should be to chase better in this tournament, which they haven't been able to do. But, you know, things change, don't they? When you've got batters under pressure, you know, not scoring runs in the first innings, you suddenly see how first innings totals have been a little more difficult to come by. So you never know, but as you rightly said, Rajasthan, they want to absolutely ensure victory tomorrow.
Because top two finish?
They need to be there. I mean, that's something that when you think back to their performances last year, they were so good early and then they just dropped off. They want to keep that intensity, keep the balance and interest in their side, keep them fit, something that Chennai Super Kings will also, after tonight, be wanting to make amends for as well, because you see that Chahar went off the ground as well, you know, just bowled the 2 balls. Deshpande didn't play, Patarana didn't play, and Mustafizur's going home. So, you know, there's some real sort of question marks starting to open up, and they start to travel as well. They've got a couple of away games. But Sunrisers Hyderabad, you know, that's a massive game, you know, for those top 4, which Chennai's, you know, in that 4th position at the moment.
It's a matchup that could decide the fortunes of the final 4 if you think about it. So we will be live at 6 p.m. on Amul Cricket, but before that, 3:45 is when we have Captain Speak Live with Rohit Sharma, the captain of the Indian team. We know that the squad has been announced. There are a couple of... It'll be a typical Rohit Sharma press conference. We're expecting some memes in that. We're expecting some one-liners. It wouldn't be a true press conference from Rohit Sharma if we didn't get that. Hey, Ross, I know a tough day for you, but it's okay. We move on.
Yeah, I'm okay. I think, you know, CSK, they tend to bounce. I'm just very glad that I don't have Brian Lara here. That would have been, you know, putting needles into my side for certain. So we got rid of him, which was good. And I know that you're empathetic towards CSK, so I'm okay.
Okay,
we're okay.
We live to fight another day. We'll see you later on Amul Cricket Live. Thanks so much for joining us, haters. Have a great night.